What's up, everyone? I just wanted to put a quick video out showing you guys who might not know how to tie a marabou crappie jig. I know that there's probably plenty of videos on different patterns and ways you can tie them and stuff like that, but this is going to be a pretty straightforward video on what you're going to do. I'm going to do 2 different color paint on the jig head, but obviously you can just do one. It's pretty straightforward. I have a heat gun, but you can use a candle, you can use a lighter, anything that's going to heat up the head to where that powder paint will melt properly. But I've got that, I've got my paint, I've got my jig heads. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn this on and grab you a pair of pliers. It's best if you can kind of try and cover the eye of the jig like that so you don't get paint in it, but you're going to heat it up, dip it in the color. It's going to need to be shiny, so make sure your head's hot enough that that paint will get shiny. If it's not, you can just go like this and heat it back up and it should work. You just don't want to do it too long or the paint will actually burn. So I'm going to flip the camera around and do that, and then we'll move on to step number 2. Alright, here's another step that I like to do as much as possible. You don't have to, but you'll get more longevity out of your paint if you put it in one of these little ovens and just bake the head. So I'm going to bake it at just under 350. I'd say it's probably about 325, 330 for 20 minutes. And all that's gonna do is just allow that paint on those heads to cure. So once those are cured and cooled off, we'll go back to the vise and get one tied. All right, now that I got my heads cured and cooled off, I got it back in the vise. And so what you're gonna do next is you're gonna take your thread and your bobbin, and you're gonna just make a nice tight wrap all the way down. It's pretty common to go just even with the shank, or down the shank to the tip of the hook. I don't typically go quite that far, but you'll kind of figure out what works best for you. You just want to make sure you do nice tight wraps from the head down close to the tip of the hook and back. Trim your tail. I know a lot of people will do like super glue or the nail polish finisher. It's really personal preference on that. I'm gonna take some of this glue here and just dab it just like that all the way down. That's really, like I said, personal preference. So do what you want to, what works for you best on that. Next, I'm gonna take my marabou feathers, and I've already trimmed this one up, but then I'm just gonna lay it down right on top of the hook. I used to take and get it all on top like that. I didn't really like the way that looked, so I kind of set it down over the hook. You want to make sure your tail is not too long. It's longer than you think it is. So I normally go a little shorter than what I think. And then nice tight wraps. Okay, now that I have successfully gone through and deleted enough stuff to have the memory to record, you're gonna trim off like that and keep nice tight wraps, just like that. You can go through and wrap some flash on there if you want to. I'm not gonna do that on this one, just for the sake of simplicity. Once you're done with that, you're gonna take your chenille and you're gonna lay it down like so, across like that. Same thing, nice tight wraps all the way down to just about the tip of the hook. Once that's good, you're gonna wrap it. So I've got this vise has a little deal to hold your bob in, but keep with the same concept. Just nice tight wraps. You wanna make sure to keep everything stacked nice and tight. It's gonna make your jig look better. It's gonna make it stay together better. I like to do a wrap around the chenille, snug it up, do 2 or 3 wraps, another wrap around the chenille, snug it up again, 2 or 3 wraps, and that just holds everything in place. Then you're gonna come in here and just trim off what you don't need anymore. And you're gonna grab your whip finisher, make a triangle, and then you're just gonna feed in like that. Make sure it's snug. You can do a couple more if you want. You just wanna make sure you get 5 or 6 good wraps. Snug it up, take your scissors and trim your thread, and then get you some glue if you want. You don't have to, but it's definitely gonna hold it in a little better. If you're trying to ball on a budget, just make sure you get some good wraps in. I was gonna go with black, silver, and silver, but I couldn't find any silver on the tail for the feather part for the marabou, so I just went with white. But there you go, simple way to tie a marabou, and it's just something fun. I just like to play around with it and try new stuff, but there you have it. There's how you tie a marabou jig.